Hi everyone, today we're going to be debating about the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. This act aims to make whole milk the primary dairy option in schools across the United States. We're going to hear both pros and cons as to why this act should be implemented in our local schools.
Hi, my name is Brynn Maynard, and I will be addressing the benefits of passing the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. So, to start, in 2010, the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act was passed. And this act made it so that only low-fat or fat-free milk could be offered in schools. Since then, opinions on fat and milk products have been discussed, debated, and studied. According to a 2023 study from the Food Research and Action Council, 15.5 million children received breakfast and 29.9 million children received lunch on an average day during the previous school year. This goes to show that many children are getting most of their nutritional needs met through their schools. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act will bring back full-fat dairy as an option for those students. The consumption of milk outside of school has actually increased this past year, and students are going to prefer the taste of the milk that they're used to drinking at home. So if their preferred milk is whole and it's not available at school, they might just choose other options that are potentially less healthy, like high sugared alternatives such as juice or sodas, and that's something that we want to avoid. Some schools actually require children to take a carton of milk with their lunches and with their breakfast. So if they don't like the taste of the milk that's offered, they're probably going to end up throwing away that carton of milk. The passing of this act will not change or take away any of the products offered in schools now. It's only going to add another option to the student's choice. Whole milk was only taken away in the first place because of the previously held belief that the fat in dairy products is unhealthy. This outdated assumption has since been contested in several scientific studies. Despite concerns about saturated fat increasing LDL cholesterol, the presence of this fat in milk has not shown to cause negative effects. A paper published by the National Library of Medicine states that although dairy products contain a high saturated fatty acid content, their consumption induces a positive or neutral effect on human cardiovascular health. So this goes to show that there are no negative side effects of consuming full-fat milk. And this is because of all the health benefits provided by whole milk. That same study goes on to conclude that consumption of full-fat dairy products contributes to higher intakes of significant nutrients, in particular vitamin D and vitamin K. Considering how many students are eating a majority of their meals at school, it's important that these vitamins are a part of their diets. To further support this claim, a National Library of Medicine analysis from 2019 found that whole milk consumption was associated with a 16% lower chance of children aged 9 months to 8 years from becoming obese. The rates of childhood obesity in the United States have continued to increase over the past few decades, despite our growing concerns. The CDC actually reported that from 2017 to 2020, the prevalence of obesity among US children and adolescents was 19.7%. So if there's a product that's associated with lowering that percentage, it should certainly be served in our public schools. It's clear that the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act can only benefit the student population, and it poses no threat to the existing school food programs. Through the passing of this act, more children will receive essential nutritional benefits, and they will have an additional healthy beverage option to choose from. Thank you.
The argument for reintroducing whole milk and milk flavors as a means of ensuring children get all their essential nutrients is strong, but it does not paint the full picture of solutions. Instead of introducing students to potential complications from consuming high levels of saturated fats, couldn't schools focus on finding healthier ways to incorporate these nutrients into school breakfasts and lunches? While Representative Thompson expressed concern that a large proportion of children in the United States aren't consuming the recommended daily amount of dairy, perhaps this is an opportunity to shift how dairy products are being served. If it is the, quote, terrible taste experience of low and non-fat milks that are discouraging children from drinking milk, schools could instead provide other low or non-fat dairy alternatives, such as yogurt or cheese, in breakfasts and lunches for students. This way, children would still get these vital nutrients without significantly increasing their saturated fat intake. Schools could also find other ways to get children these vital nutrients. While milks and many other foods are fortified with vitamin D, wouldn't it be best for children to get this critical nutrient through the sun in the most direct way? Encouraging physical activity outdoors is likely a much more effective way of addressing Representative Thompson's concerns about childhood obesity rather than offering children flavored whole milk.
My name is Kayla Sandoval, and I'll be con the government should not pass the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. According to the Center of Disease Control, approximately 1 in 5 children have obesity in the United States. The high prevalence rate poses as a crisis for significant risk to their long-term health. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act aims to reintroduce whole and reduced fat milk into schools. This bill undermines the progress achieved by the Hunger-Free Kids Act and USDA nutrition standards. These regulations were designed to promote healthier school meals and combat childhood obesity. Today, I'll discuss how the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act puts children's health at risk and contradicts the science-based efforts to ensure nutritious school meals. The Healthy Hunger-Free Act aims to improve school meal quality and reduce childhood obesity, and reinforces USDA standards. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act undermines advances by exempting milk fat from regulations. School meals for children are the front lines for public health. This act aims to build healthy habits by promoting balanced, nutrient-dense meals. And the reason for the reduced or low-fat and non-fat milk was that the whole and reduced fat milk are higher in saturated fats than fat-free and low-fat milk. Saturated fat is well established to contribute to elevated low-density lipoproteins, which is known as the bad cholesterol, which is associated with an increased risk of heart disease. This indicates that implementing whole milk as an option could lead to health implications. The connection between saturated fats and elevated LDLs, cholesterol, is a risk factor for heart disease. Children have a right to healthy meals. School plays a pivotal role in shaping lifelong dietary habits. The meals provided in school should have the best possible nutritional options. According to Rhode Island Department of Education, over 65,000 children rely on the National School Lunch Program to provide nutritious meals for low cost or no cost. Therefore, school lunches play a significant role in the nutrition of students across the nation. The need to meet science-based nutritional standards is essential to reduce childhood obesity and improve heart health. Aforementioned, whole milk is higher in saturated fat, causing high levels of LDL. Sarah Mean, an assistant professor of nutrition at the University of Rhode Island, advocates for low-fat and fat-free options and reports that schools are a critical environment for learning and nutritional, since a large number of children get their daily nutritional needs met from school breakfast and lunch programs. Maintaining healthy standards for school lunches is essential for those students who rely on these meals for their nutrition. Implementing the whole milk back into schools can lead to long-term problems for this children's health.
While research does broadly outline the links between higher saturated fat intake, raised LDL cholesterol levels, and heart disease in adults, according to Representative Thompson, scientific research has not drawn a clear link between consumption of whole or 2% milk and obesity in childhood. What widespread scientific research does agree upon is the link between high rates of soda and sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and obesity. Many children are choosing these drinks as alternatives to the low and non-fat milk options, which reduces their intake of critical nutrients and puts them at a greater scientifically proven risk of adverse health impacts. Professor Ammon is correct that schools are a critical environment for learning about and developing healthy nutritional habits. One important piece of creating these healthy habits is not feeling like particular foods are off limits or restricted because they're labeled as bad. While consuming too much saturated fat can have adverse health effects, it is important to recognize that individual food items are only one component of someone's diet. Just because a child chooses whole milk instead of non-fat milk doesn't mean that their saturated fat intake is automatically too high. Furthermore, for that particular child, it may be more nutritionally important for them to get all of the 13 essential nutrients that whole milk contains than to forego drinking milk altogether. If schools do their due diligence in effectively promoting balanced, healthy nutrition habits from a young age, there's no reason why whole or 2% milk can't be offered as options for students.
I do understand the desire to follow the dietary restrictions that were placed in 2010 with the intention of lowering childhood obesity rates. However, dietary guidelines are constantly changing as we become more knowledgeable about our own dietary needs. Based on scientific studies, we have concluded that there are no negative effects of consuming full-fat dairy products. Instead, we actually discovered that there are nutritional benefits that will decrease childhood obesity rates and increase the absorption of essential vitamins. Passing the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act will not introduce a threat to the public's health, and in fact, it will only benefit the health of these students. Not only that, but it may increase the children's desires to include milk in their daily diet. The alternative fat-free and skim milk is widely known to not have a desirable flavor. Whole milk has a much more palatable taste and will escalate the consumption. I do want to reiterate that this act will not eliminate the low-fat options, but will allow students to choose based on their preferences. Thank you.
While my opponent brings up very good points, the reintroduction of whole milk in schools contradicts the USC guidelines and reverses the progress made under the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, which was designed to reduce childhood obesity and promote lifelong healthy habits. Offering whole milk may seem like a choice, but it prioritizes short-term preferences over long-term health. Children rely on schools for a significant portion of their daily nutrition, and it's our responsibility to ensure those meals meet evidence-based standards. Research shows the whole milk contains more saturated fat, which increases LDL cholesterol, a known risk factor for heart disease. By maintaining a low-fat and fat-free milk option, we support children's health and lay the foundation of a healthier dietary pattern as they grow. Our commitment should be to the future well-being of these children, not to the convenience of the present. Let's continue to prioritize evidence-based nutrition policies that safeguard children's health and protect the progress we've made.
The challenge at hand is a complicated one. Yet, it is important to recognize that each side's position is clearly based on promoting the well-being of all children throughout the United States. From the arguments presented today, there are evident challenges that we must account for as a country in terms of promoting healthy nutrition habits in schools. While the reintroduction of whole and 2% milk and milk flavors could potentially serve as a means of addressing rampant childhood obesity, we must also consider the health implications of increasing saturated fat intake for students. In determining the best course of action for the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, sound science and rational judgment are necessary. Thank you.